Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to LiveStream under the Moonshine. We are getting into this letter, guys, and honestly, there's been so much that has happened between when we started and part 4 that I read a few days ago, that it almost seems like it's like almost halfway through or something like that. I thought I was getting close to the end of the halfway point, maybe a third of the way through this. But after looking at the number of hours people have played this game and looking at how long does it take to beat it, a website where you can see how long it takes to beat a game, I think we're maybe maybe not 5, but maybe 5 to 10% done, probably 10% through the story. So yeah, probably 40, 50 parts, somewhere in there would be my guess, if I keep each part around an hour in length. All right, so it's getting really good here. With the last part of the letter, we are playing as a character, a real estate agent named Isabella. And we have lost our best friend Rose in part 3, at the end of part 3, a scene that actually completely shocked me. And then we had to go to a meeting, and we understood that we were going to be finishing the sale and the transaction, wrapping everything up with the sale of this mansion, and then we kind of shifted from point of view of Isabella to the lady who is buying the mansion, and she's married to a real prick, basically. And it kind of seemed like they were a little bit happier than they were when we saw it from Isabella's point of view. But now that we're looking at it from, I believe it's Hannah. Hannah is her name. And her husband aren't getting along too well. And it's pretty obvious why when we see kind of how big of a prick that he is. And he was a prick at some kind of a party that they went to, and he basically, at the end of that episode, she basically told him, no, you're not sleeping in my room, you're not sleeping in our bed. And she basically closed the door on him, and he was trying to tell their butler, they have a butler because they're kind of high-end rich people or whatever, and he was trying to tell their butler to make her let him in to sleep with her or whatever. The butler's like, that's none of my business. So it was pretty entertaining. So we're going to go ahead and get back in to where we left off. And this will be part 5, guys. So let's go ahead and continue where we left off. Okay. Where we left off, yes. Actually, let me go back here real quick. Actually, let me go to the options. I want to go ahead and turn the characters' volumes up because I saw they were a little bit low last time, I thought. Alright. The days past had gone by in a blur, and I think this is the Wednesday after Rose, the other real estate agent, had died. Yeah. Alright. We hadn't talked much, Luke and I, outside of necessity. Damn. In fact, we've hardly talked beyond the topic of acquisitions of properties. Properties being the mansion, obviously. Everything has been so busy that I haven't talked to anyone outside of business, and it is just so stressful. So one can understand my need for a good chat, preferably over a good meal. Oh yeah? There are times when any decent, emotionally healthy, and socially capable person, they need a good friend. One who will talk to them without the conversation degrading or turning into an argument. Or barring a nearby friend, I have an interior designer under a confidentiality agreement to listen to me.
Up higher! Come on now!
Okay. This place is bustling with movers carrying furnishings here and there, along with several trunks of personal belongings taken from our penthouse. I am kind of wondering who she set up this conversation with. That is kind of interesting. I can hear Luke barking at them out in the other room, making sure nothing is handled carelessly or that nothing gets stolen.
Careful now!
Right.
I know your pictures are framed by cheap plastic, but those are framed by African blackwood and are one-of-a-kind commissioned paintings. Each one is easily worth a lifetime of what you not make.
Yeah, I hate that kind of stuff I hate those kind of comments. Each one is easily worth a lifetime of what you make. Yeah, this guy's definitely really snooty and a prick, really. Luke guy, her husband. It is hard to tune him out. The walls did not do a good job of muffling him at all. But then again, it is Luke. I could still hear him ranting, even if we were on the opposite sides of the mansion, and I'm wearing earplugs. Wow.
I'd really like to thank you for inviting me to breakfast, Mrs. Wright.
All right.
But I already ate, so I should really go back to work.
All right. So she said she already ate, so she could go back to work, and she invited her friend Marianne to go to the breakfast. Okay. So let me go into the options. I feel like I've turned it up just a little bit too much, maybe. Try that. Yeah.
Nonsense! You arrived so early, you must not have gotten a proper meal. Our butler has made a surprisingly lovely bubble and squeak.
A bubble and squeak, huh?
Sit, sit! I'd situate us in the dining hall, but it is a mess right now. Oh, Johans!
The man in question appears ready with a tray as he starts to set the table for us. And we sit in silence as we are each served a plate. Bubble and squeak, topped by a nicely poached egg with cherry tomatoes and other garnishes adorning the edges of the plate. I can say I think this visual novel was written by somebody in the UK or in English or whatever, because I've never heard of such a thing. It must not be common here in America. A cup and a saucer and a teapot with some Earl Greys placed down for Mary Jane and I. Ask for an orange, Julius.
How are you liking the project?
Drop that vase and I'll have your head.
I
know it's only an 8 million yen vase, but I swear, I've...
8 million yen vase, huh?
Well, it's certainly a fun challenge, incorporating the designs of a Jacobean manor and the functionality of a modern household.
Yep. Okay.
I have ideas I would like to suggest, by the way, about what to use the second bedroom for. I have been informed of your goddaughter and thought a kid-friendly room might be in order.
Okay.
You read my mind. I was actually going to bring that up. Oh, that would just be so lovely, Marianne. That way, Kylie can bring her friends over as well. And a good friend of mine, Rochelle, is expecting a baby. So, why don't we think about putting a crib in there too?
There you go.
I can just imagine little ones running around, filling this place with the pitter-patter of their feet. We'd have to make sure they don't trip and fall on the stairs, though.
The thing I've noticed is her eyes are really red. Have you guys noticed that? That doesn't look like makeup either. Like, what the hell's wrong with Hannah here?
We won't be able to finish everything up until after the party. But we'll have it ready by then, so that all we need to do is to move in the furnishings.
Yes, that's plenty fine. It's not like we're in a hurry to have it.
Her eyes look fine there. I don't know.
And we wouldn't want the workers to disturb the guests or the other way around, do we? Just make sure it's presentable. You know,
Of course. As for the kitchen you wanted, I've already negotiated for the high-end stoves and the hot and cold drawers, so on and so forth. I've got a friend who was able to customize them so that they'll look like the counters we'll be replacing and fit the rest of the interior.
There you go.
They'll be bringing them in today.
Good day, huh?
Why can't you people do anything right?
Oh my.
Don't drag it. You'll scratch the wood.
excellent. But no, really,
He just
how
ignores
have you
him.
liked it so far?
Oh, it has been wonderful, believe me. Everything is going smoothly too. It has been a long time since I've worked on something on this grand a scale. Nowadays, everyone is about condos and flats, living in the city where every room is an identical box. Believe me, this is very refreshing.
We lived in a condo before this, Marianne.
I didn't mean any insult.
Oops.
It's fine, sweetie. Look at you,
Sweetie.
all frazzled. I was just pulling your leg.
Does look a little bit frustrated.
Luke wanted that penthouse when we got married, and you can thank him for purchasing this place as well.
He looks confused. Of course, she has every right to be. She, no doubt, overheard me push that estate agent into the cell, making quite the aggressive offer. He saw me sign the papers for the mansion as well. I just had to scoff.
Don't be fooled. I'm just the treasury. I wouldn't be able to make a purchase this grand without his seal of approval.
I see.
That's it. That's all you have to say.
Yes, it wouldn't be appropriate to comment further. It is unprofessional.
Oh, wow.
Unprofessional.
He wants her honest opinion. I can't help but let out a deep sigh as I stick a fork into my dish. I didn't want professional. I want someone who will either agree with me, even if it's just for the sake of agreeing, or someone who will try to talk some sense into me. Neutral responses are so boring. There is no discourse in the middle ground.
The food is good. Best bubble and squeak.
Of course it is. Our kitchen staff only uses the freshest hand-picked ingredients. Only the best for the rights.
Alright, only the best for the right. Right?
Mr. Wright is not joining us?
No, thank God.
No, he is far too busy bossing people around.
Right?
He even refused to join me for breakfast earlier. Hence, this.
I see. My apologies. I really don't know what sort of response you expect to get from me.
Oh boy. There is the clatter of silverware as I slam my hands on the table. That's what that thud was, okay? It is so frustrating. I am frustrated. At Luke, mostly. But Marianne's neutral, professional answers are certainly irksome as well.
You're a human with feelings and opinions, aren't you?
Look at her face.
Don't give me this bollocks about being professional when we're having a nice friendly chat over a nice and friendly breakfast.
She looks sad.
I can only talk about interior designs for so long, and I detest one-sided conversations, Marianne.
Damn, she just letting her have it.
But I really don't know what to say, Mrs. Wright. We were talking of no topic in particular, and...
Luke. We were talking about Luke.
Yeah, she doesn't want to... She doesn't want to say the wrong thing about your husband. I mean, give her a break, Hannah. Jesus. Being professional is probably pretty wise.
About him not eating breakfast with you?
About him treating me as if I were some treasury.
Damn, she slammed her fist down again. I didn't realize that I shouted out that loud until it was too late. There was a stunned silence that settled before I slumped back into my seat. Hiding my face behind my hands, I can feel my shoulders shake. Breathe, I told myself. Calm down. But it is just so hard.
Honestly, sometimes I feel like he doesn't love me anymore.
Aww.
Oh, have I been so blind? Did he ever love me at all? Was our marriage all for the sake of saving his company and his wealth?
Yeah.
Because...
A good image. I like that art.
Because?
Did I say that out loud? Again? No, this is bad. Unacceptable. It has been rumored before, the real reason for our engagement. But if anyone were to know of this... Marriages of necessity to carry on political and financial power used to be a common thing, but the Evans-Wright union is the perfect happily ever after. It was supposed to be. It is true that we first met each other in order to discuss dealings to make the then failing Wright Enterprise a subsidiary of for Evans Incorporated. But I do remember being in love with him, and there were times when he said that he loved me back. Even if I'm not sure of what the truth is now. Yeah, it's gotta be hard. Either way, I do not want the Wright name or the Evans name dragged through the mud because of a slip-up. Okay, and if Marianne so much just talk of this... Yeah, I don't know how good of friends we are with her. I don't think that we're great friends with her. I don't think Marianne would be so professional here. So we gotta threaten Marianne or ask her for silence. And all these choices that we make supposedly have an impact in how the story all ends. I don't know that every single choice we make, determines how it all ends, but it might all, add up to maybe two different endings. I think I'm going to try to calm down and ask her for silence here. Yeah. Relationship status updated. Okay. And that's down here. I don't know what we were with her before. So, Marianne, I guess we got a plus by asking her for silence? Okay. So let's take a look at this. Luke, new, plus. I don't know how we got a plus with Luke when the last time we interacted with him, where we were fighting, and I didn't allow him to come into the bedroom, sleep with me. I mean, obviously, I'm speaking on behalf of Hannah here. Isabella, the real estate agent that we played for the first part of this novel, don't have a good relationship with her. This is myself, obviously. Okay. Well, Marianne is a good sort, isn't she? So far, she has been reasonable and accommodating, even towards Luke's ridiculous request. She's patient and professional. Did it only extend to business? Or would she be able to understand that things like this are not as simple, not as clean, as they are painted to be? Certainly, I can talk to her. Ask her for...
I won't speak a word, Mrs. Wright.
Very nice.
Not only am I contractually obliged to, it would also go against my principles.
I like that answer. It's almost like I trust her. Like, do you guys trust what she's saying? She doesn't seem like the type that would backstab you or tell you one thing and then, rat you out behind your back or whatever. I don't know why. I believe her. I trust her. I think we did the right thing there.
This is no one else's business but your own, and it should be kept between the two of you. And whoever you wish to seek counsel from.
There you go.
Please, Marianne. You have to understand.
I think she is understanding. Like, why are you continuing to beg and plead her? Like, I don't understand why she's being such a whiny little brat.
These sort of affairs, if anyone were to know this, they could just twist it and we'll be ruined.
She already told you she's not going to tell anybody. Like, what is her problem? I don't like Luke. I definitely don't like her husband, but I'm starting to not like Hannah very much either.
All I ask for is your silence on the matter.
If I am to be frank, Mrs. Wright, this isn't new for me. You aren't the first, and you certainly won't be the last to have complicated dealings.
Yeah? See, I like her approach a lot more. She's professional, she's upfront, she doesn't speak out of character, not out of character, but out of place. She's not making remarks about her husband when she's not a close friend with her. She's being very professional, but she's also being completely honest. And this Hannah, I thought I liked Hannah, but right now I'm starting to think she's kind of a spoiled little brat or something. Like, she's already told you that she's not going to tell anybody, you just keep whining to her.
Unless what you're doing is illegal, I turn a blind eye.
Can I trust her? I think you can. Do we have a choice? Because I want to say yes, I can trust her.
If I wasn't in the same boat, I'd be trying to pry those secrets and gossip with you about them by now.
Well, I'm keeping that information confidential as well.
Yeah, I trust her. What about you guys? Do you guys trust her? It's not like I have any other choice, do I?
Thank you.
Okay. Finally! She just says thank you instead of whining and crying and eating more. She's already told you she's not going to tell anyone. We continue to eat our meal in peace, finishing the last of the food and drink. When the door to the parlour opened, Marianne and I are just sitting in silence, sorry.
Madam, the photographer from Luxury Living is here.
Okay. I give him nothing but a small nod.
This was a wonderful meal, Marianne. You're free to return to your duties. I must excuse myself.
It was my pleasure. And thank you for the food as well.
Making my way downstairs, I look back to see Marianne give me a nod and a small smile. That certainly put me in lighter spirits. a journal update, an interview with Luxury Living. I guess we should be reading the journal. We haven't really done that yet. I don't think we've done this at all yet. Okay, so timeline. October 17th, Hannah Wright threw a party in their penthouse, the Cache. The city's most powerful were seen, including Chief Inspector Harvey Lee of the Luxbourne Police Department. From him, the socialite heard of the Ermengarde Mansion's upcoming open house and the interior designer, Mary Ann. So she's the interior designer, Mary Ann McCullough. Okay. Undiscovered. We have new stuff here. Friday, October 21st, before going to the Immigrant Mansion, Isabella Santos dropped by St. Goretti High School to check on Rebecca Gills. The former reminded the latter to take her flu medicine before leaving. On the way to the mansion, Isabella received a phone call from Ashton Trey, reminding her of Zachary Steele's premiere movie that night. Yeah, I remember that. That was back in part 1 or 2, I think. Part 2, probably. Friday, October 21st again. While looking for her missing co-agent, Isabella Santos found a mysterious letter in the Immigrant Mansion's attic. Driven to fear by what she read inside, thinking it's a place's curse at work, she hurried to leave the place, only to meet Rose Cooper, along with a woman who introduced herself as Mary Ann McCullough. They found Isabella Santos lying unconscious in the mansion's foyer. This all happened in part 1, before the open house's start. Unable to recall what happened prior, Isabella insisted on working despite her co-agent's worries about her well-being. Still on Friday. Today marked the open house of the infamous Immigrant Mansion. Open to the public for the first time in years, Luxbourne's most esteemed and prominent personalities gathered to catch a glimpse of the 17th century property, including Luxbourne's most well-known couple, Luke and Hannah Wright. Okay, so this is good because this is kind of giving you a backstory. Anybody that might have not watched the first few parts, this kind of gives you a backstory and the story of what all happened. During the open house, Hannah pressured the estate agents to sell her the mansion. The Wrights also met their interior designer, but displeased with her husband's flirtatious attitude, a disagreement brewed during the ride home. Inevitably, they ended up sleeping in different bedrooms that night. Yep, that looked like the last episode. Friday night, Luxbourne Independent Film and Theater Festival celebrated its 9th year discovery. New creative talents in the film industry. Included in a few showcases this year was Zachary Steele's Bleu Foncé, Dark Times of the Black British. Isabella Santos, Ashton Trey, and Rebecca Gills were all seen amongst the crowd for its premiere. Okay, so the next day, Saturday, October 22nd, Isabella received an unexpected call from her family back in the Philippines. An emotional moment. Her mother informed her of her father's deteriorating condition despite treatments. Nevertheless, the young woman assured her and continued to work hard to be able to support all of them. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. I'm glad I read this because I had forgotten that Isabella got that call and she was definitely trying to send them money and she was trying to pay for her father's treatments and doctor treatments and stuff like that as he began getting worse and worse. Saturday, a day after the open house, the Wrights were seen securing the mansion's purchase at the Breyer Realty's Luxbourne office. Parties involved in the transaction were surprised at how fast it went, but agreed it was to be expected when dealing with influential people like the Wrights. Happy over the sale, Isabella Santos treated her friends to lunch. Yep, this was all in part 2, I think. After a pleasant lunch with Zachary Steele and Rebecca Gills, Isabella Santos received an urgent phone call from Rose Cooper, asking her to meet with the Wrights' interior designer. Left with no choice, she hurried back to the BRC. But on her way, one of the shops she passed by, a familiar smile greeted her. Yeah, it was kind of creepy. And then Zachary Steele reminded Isabella Santos of the Ermengarde Mansion's blessing tomorrow. And this is a pastor. They will be accompanied by Father Norman, a well-known priest in the Anglican and Christian communities. He is described as a warm and approachable person, especially by youths. Okay. And then Sunday, October 23rd, Father Norman, Zachary Steele, and Isabella Santos went to the Immigrant Mansion for the blessing. There, they encountered the mansion's new owners, the Wrights. After the blessing, Zachary and Isabella were seen sharing a box of sweet cinnamon rolls at the park. Yep. While looking after a lost cat, Isabella Santos met the interior designer, Marianne McCullough, by chance. She also happened to be the cat's owner. We were seen having small talk before Isabella abruptly left. Yep. That all happened. And then, Sunday night, news broke of Rose Cooper being found dead in her flat the evening before. The authorities classified the crime as a homicide, possibly linked to the notorious Anselm Butcher, a mysterious serial killer who committed brutal murders over the years and left their bodies with his signature phrase, "Help me." And Monday, October 24th, Isabella Santos drowned herself with work the whole day to forget about the devastating news of her mentor's death. However, she ended up stumbling upon some mysterious disappearances of other colleagues. And just when she realized something important, and we don't have anything else until October 26th, the Wright couple moved to their newly bought mansion today and was already preparing for a housewarming party. Hannah and Marianne were seen having breakfast together, with the former complaining of accidentally divulging too much details about her marital problems. And that's about it. So that catches us up with a journal. Alright, so she has an interview with Luxury Living. That is today, isn't it? Oh yes. People had caught wind of our new mansion the very moment we left the open house. Luke had boasted that he could acquire the property in no time, and allowed a photo shoot for an interior design magazine to be scheduled today. Well, there were complications, and it took longer than it usually does for us. Hopefully, I won't have any other unfortunate slip-ups with someone who isn't bound by confidentiality. So we're still on Wednesday in the afternoon. The mansion grounds has been one of the first things to be fixed up, aside from the bedroom. Although it is still a work in progress, it had a promising start, and I can already see the flower patches. Luke's favored daffodils stands out easily, having been transplanted from the pots that used to litter the rooftop of our penthouse. Why, if the moving crew thought that Luke was being hard on them, they clearly didn't see the landscaper on his way out. Oh boy. The man looked like he was ready to faint, and Luke seemed ready to kill him by the end of their discussion. And this Luke's a jackass. It is in the gardens that I see him standing near the flowers in quiet admiration. He is hard to miss, the hulk of a man that clearly did not belong, and the big backpack and suitcase he has had with him makes him look much larger than he is. It is a peculiar sight, seeing someone who looks like he does handling little delicate things with such care. He looks up from the gardens and does a double take before a friendly face replaces a serene expression.
Miss Wright, yeah? Hi, Zachary. Hope you weren't waiting too long.
Hi, Zachary Still here for the Luxury Living, ma'am. Hope you aren't waiting too long. Sorry, I clicked that. Sometimes I get a little click happy.
But it looks like you're still moving in, huh? Thought for a second there my calendar was wrong and I came here too early.
I like that there is voice acting.
Familiar. Have we met?
I have a very wide social circle, so everyone looks familiar at one point or another. But one would think I'd remember someone who stands out like him. The struggle to recall must have been evident on my face as he quickly and kindly answers my question.
Oh, I was with Isabella, your estate agent, when she had the house blessed.
Yep.
Oh, yes, that's right. Small world, isn't it?
Should have known you were Miss Wright.
The one and only. Welcome, welcome to Maison de Right.
On the right.
And yes, we've been in the process of moving in as we were delayed, but it won't be a problem. They're just adding a few things here and there, and you should still be able to do your work. Where's the rest of your crew then, Mr. Steele?
Zach is fine, please. Mr. Steele makes me feel like I'm a mascot for a cleaning product. Anyway, I'll be your one-man crew for today. Don't worry, been doing this gig for a while now.
You must be quite the veteran to handle this on your own. We've had a full crew coming into our penthouse the last time we were covered in your magazine.
Veteran? Oh, your words are too kind, Miss Wright.
Hana! If I get to call you Zach, you have my permission to call me Hana.
There you go.
Alrighty then.
Friendship is made.
Anyway, I'm no veteran, but I know my camera well enough to make sure this is a good shoot. You can trust me on that, Miss Wright.
He's gonna say Hannah.
Hana.
Hannah. So I'm guessing that the relationship went up. Yeah, it definitely went up because it was like right, I think it was like right here earlier. Zachary proves quickly enough that I can, in fact, trust him. His skills with a camera and experience in this industry are at the very least. He is kind and courteous, listening and following as I lead him around the house. A really nice fellow, and he treats our household staff well whenever we cross paths with them. I answer his questions to the best of my ability, and he is patient enough to answer mine whenever I get curious enough. For one, I ask what the bags are for. They are quite the magician's toolkit. From inside, he had procured several items to embellish the interior with. Bowls of fruits, lemons, trays of peppermills, stacks of cookbooks, cutting boards, and glass canisters filled with colorful nuts and grains are brought in for a kitchen setting. And for the bathroom, there are white towels, seashells, and decorative soaps. Boy, that is pretty professional of him. I mean, he's bringing the camera, but he knows exactly what to bring to, you know, help make the best pictures possible. There are other things as well, too numerous to count, all in that large backpack and suitcase.
Tricks of the trade. Softens up a room, makes a place feel more homey, and fills it up with texture. But you guys probably have better stuff I can use for this.
No lights. Don't tell me all of these are just props.
Well, I've got my tripod here. For things like these, natural light is best. I'll just have to set the shutter speed to a real slow setting, and as long as nobody steps into the shot, it'll look great.
There you go.
It better.
It better. We go through the rooms one at a time, although we first tackle the ones that the movers have no business in anymore. Okay, the afternoon, Wednesday. The ballroom needs a little preparation, with its grand design. Although there is some trouble at first with the wide open space and the pictures being backlit. In the afternoon again, it is in the kitchen that Zachary's props come in handy, considering how Johannes kept the place so neat and sterile, one can practically eat off the floor. We carry on touring the house and taking pictures where we can, with the exception to the rooms which have yet to gain any purpose or design. Too bad I can't take a sneak peek of his photos yet. Funnily enough, he is using a traditional camera. I didn't even know that film still even existed. And with the way he speaks, however, I can see that he knows enough about his craft that I'm not too worried about botched photographs. Yep, he's definitely taking a lot of pictures. I imagine photography must be cathartic for him, judging by how at ease he looks while he's taking the pictures. There are small snippets of conversation in between the clicking of the camera. He even goes as far to talk about these terminologies like shutter speeds and aperture when I ask about the technical aspects. I can't quite see the picture as it is made, much like when I watch artists paint on their canvas. But just watching someone passionately practicing their craft such as this it's exciting in its own way. But going through the many rooms has been quite the exercise for the both of us. Oh wow. Look how good that looks. Look how good. You could tell it's going to be a great picture of him with the back lighting and the stairs. Despite that, he has been so nice, and I find myself putting on my best smile. But it is as we're taking pictures in the foyer that everything comes to a standstill for a moment. Let me guess, Luke barges in and says something stupid. Just a moment. And I had not been paying attention. I wouldn't have even been... Sorry. And had I not been paying attention, I wouldn't have even noticed. It is merely a split second when Zachary's rhythm is put to a halt. His finger doesn't move to release the shutter. Oh shit! Look at Zachary's face. Zachary's finally gonna believe Isabella now. What the hell? This is creepy. Yikes. So now she's felt it, probably. Are they both just gonna think they're imagining things, or what's gonna happen here? Wow. Yet he also doesn't pull the camera away from his face, gaze still firmly fixed through the viewfinder. His hands shake and there is a slight sheen of sweat on his forehead.
Zachary?
Oh, she doesn't notice? Only he notices? No response.
Zach, is something the matter?
Oh shit, she doesn't even know. Only Zachary sees this. That's crazy. Lowering his camera, he blinks and stares at something behind me before shaking his head. Turning around, though, I see nothing that could have gotten his attention. Yeah, she definitely went from a big smile to a look of concern and sadness here. And he is sweating. Look at the sweat. That's great. I like that writing. I like the art, too.
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something, that's all.
Yeah, he's BSing her.
Let's get back to the pictures.
Wow.
Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
I struggle to respond this time. There's a sudden weight on my back and an indescribable tightness around my throat. Yeah, I can imagine why there's a tightness around your throat. That bitch had her fucking hands around your throat, woman. Everything stops. And everything starts again. As I manage to choke out.
If you're sure.
I don't know what the hell just happened. It was probably just a dizzy spell. I'm fine. And he said he's fine. We continue at the same pace as before, although there is an unspoken agreement that we will not talk about what just happened.
So, is this a full-time job for you then?
Nah, I just freelance mostly, for magazines, newspapers, and events. So you can't really call it a full-time job.
Damn.
It's fun and it puts food on the table, but it's not what I really want to do. At least, not all the time.
What is it that you want to do then?
Maybe I've been out of line sticking my nose into other people's business, but I can't help but ask. I regret doing so as I see his shoulders slump and the easygoing air that he has fades away. He looks torn over whether he wants to talk about it or not.
Films. Documentaries mostly. But cinematography is a lot more difficult than photography, right? I was working on this thing, actually.
What thing?
Well, it wasn't really a big thing. People didn't like blue foncé very much.
People don't like a film about colors. I suppose they would have liked Blue Bibby a lot more.
Very funny.
That's funny.
So, Grand Director, do you want to tell me what Blue Foncé is all about?
He hesitates. But when I refuse to budge on the matter, he gives in and spills it all out. Blue Foncé, the Hur, is a plus sombre. Okay, I can't read that. Dark blue, the darkest hours of the black British. He speaks with passion of one who has gone through the very matter he is concerned with. There is a conviction, knowledge, and experience in his very speech. Why, I would have told him that he is an amazing speaker, if only I wasn't so engrossed listening. Prejudice and discrimination in schools and in the workplace. Lesser chances for opportunity and higher chances of being treated like a criminal. He spoke of blacks and people in color in general, still being treated like second-class citizens. Yeah, that's sad. All because of the color of their damn skin. It is all just positively riveting. And sad. Can I just say that? It comes to a point wherein he soon loses steam. He just looks abashed, realizing what he has just done.
Sorry, I just got so carried away and...
It's fine. It is really so fascinating to watch people talk about their passion after all.
Yeah.
You should see how your eyes light up when you speak so fiercely. You do have very beautiful eyes.
Uh-huh. Thanks. I guess.
Probably a little awkward to hear that from a married woman. I want to say that I understand where he's coming from, but I really don't, do I? I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and I've lived a charmed life. Exactly. It hasn't been perfect, but the difficulties I've been through pales in comparison to what others experience on a daily basis. I certainly don't know how I would have fared were it any different. Would I still have met Luke, and would he still have loved me if I was any lesser?
What was your home like? These things you talk about, it sounds like you've... Well, I don't mean to pry, I mean.
Live with my older sister and my grandparents. We had a shop selling all sorts of things below our flat. And well, I was one of the few non-white, non-British students in class. I didn't get pushed around or anything straight up. Even then, I was one of the biggest kids around. But a pencil and notebook would go missing, you know?
Oh boy. Oh, that I knew. Children can be so cruel at times. Of course, it may be a slightly different story when you have a personal guard, and the stolen item is not a pencil, but an expensive heirloom.
So what about you? How you liking your new house? It's pretty impressive.
It's nice, I suppose.
He doesn't exactly sound happy.
You suppose?
Huh.
Not big enough?
Wow, the teasing, not big enough. Wow.
What? No, oh, don't be a bully. It's just that...
I understand if you don't want to talk about it.
I was a little girl, all dolled up and treated like a fragile porcelain, with nursemaids waiting to hand me to me hand and foot. All the material possessions anyone could ever want. I could ask for on a whim, and it would be handed to me just like that. But I barely saw my parents. Just goodbye kisses in the morning before they went off to who knows what they were needed for next. I saw them more often on the telly or in the papers than I ever did in person. Now that's really sad as well.
I remember my old house. It was a lot like this one. Big walls and big halls, but nobody in it. Not really.
Damn.
It makes you think how alone you are.
Aww. A pensive mood overcomes us, and there is a moment when neither of us are sure of how to go on from there. Things have gotten just a bit too personal, yet it isn't wholly uncomfortable, like as if we've been friends before.
Well, that's normal, ain't it? You just moved here. You'll make home out of it yet.
So positive. He certainly makes it easy to believe that. My childhood house is indeed a lot like this one. It's just as large and extravagant. And just as empty. I hope he's right.
So, Monsieur le Photographe, you've covered the one and only Ermengarde mansion. What's next on the agenda?
The interview?
Boring. It's an interior design and housing magazine.
And they want to know what Miss Wright has to say about her interior design and house.
Honor Wright thinks she bought a magnificent house that she can certainly brag about. Blah, blah. Boring. You know what they should print more of? I watched an interesting documentary the other day. Bleu Foncé, the darkest
That's
hours
awesome.
of the Black British. I recommend you watch it. Those are the things that people should know about.
Yeah?
What do they care if I use a purple or green bowl of fruit in my kitchen?
People, right?
Oui. People are shite.
People are shit.
What do you think? Do I look good with this angle?
I strike a pose while he's being busy, looking taken aback for a moment, probably not expecting me to just go and say such a crass word. But then he recovers quickly, and after snapping a few shots, he grins.
Pierre, vous êtes belle. You want copies of these ones?
Yes, please. So, the big boy knows French. You must have wooed a few ladies. Unless you're into gents.
Oh boy, now she's basically asking if he likes guys or ladies. I think she's flirting a little bit.
Either way, way, French is, after all, the language of romance.
Definitely flirting.
Though I don't know about quoting fancy poetry, but I've made lunch for a girl before, and they did like that fancy French cuisine.
Can you cook your best?
I can cook just about anything as long as I know the recipe.
C'est magnifique.
It has been too long since I've had a nice and proper chat with a good friend. No, Lee is certainly not a good friend. And although we've just met, Zachary is the sort who could probably befriend anyone. He's just a comfortable person to be around with. A bit too comfortable. Yep. Still in the afternoon on Wednesday, the photo shoot went by like a breeze. And somewhere along the way, as we talk and laugh, I find myself getting a bit too close without realizing. Uh-oh. He'll give me this strange look until I back off, and he'll go back to asking questions after I agree to do his little interview. And it's just odd. Well, no. Me being friendly isn't that odd. That's just how I am. Zach. But Zachary is the one that's being odd here. Why, anyone else would absolutely welcome the extra attention I give them. He, on the other hand, looks almost flustered about it. He should be used to different personalities by now, having to deal with various people where he works. And if not, he needs to start. Perhaps nobody has shown him the attention of his kind, but he is a big boy. He should be able to handle me. All it is a friendly touch here. Pretty smile there, and a gentle swing of the hips as I move around. Uh-oh. Zachary grew and grew more red every time he noticed. Am I being mean as I find enjoyment in seeing him unravel? Perhaps. This went on during the interview and beyond. There's nothing wrong with what we're doing, right? Zachary and I are just having a playful, friendly chat while enjoying the outside view. At least, that's how I see it.
I'm sorry, but I'm really getting distracted. Could you maybe stop doing that?
Yeah, at least he's honest. He's getting distracted. You're making him think wild thoughts, ma'am. Stop? I'm not sure if I want to, though. Okay, so, again, guys, we're going to play probably what everybody wants me to do here, and also probably the most plausible thing based on the character that we're seeing here. I think that Hannah here is still very lonely in her marriage. And I think she, with being married to such a butthole, I think she's really going to find Zach's personality and willingness to listen and respond and not be yelling and screaming and be an asshole. I think she's going to find that enduring and very nice. So I think she would continue teasing him, especially since we just read that she was enjoying, flustering him so much. So she even says, I'm not sure if I want to, though. So I think she's going to continue teasing him, and we'll see where it goes, guys. As you guys are listening out there, you definitely want me to continue to tease him. You want to see what happens, as do I, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So she's going to continue teasing him. Relationship status updated. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. We lost points. We see the negative here, so we went from here to here by continue teasing him. I blame you guys. You guys wanted me to do it. I'm just saying. This is who I am, and I'm not going to tone myself down for anybody else or for somebody else. I have no obligation to do so. At any rate, he is rather cute, and it is a bit fun seeing him squirm. What's the worst that can happen? He can tell you to fuck off and never help you again. I doubt it will be anything bad, considering how much of a gentleman he is.
Oh, stop doing what, Zach, sweetie?
Oh, wow.
Touching my arm and looking at me like that.
Oh, wow. You're making him feel really uncomfortable. I pause, giving him a baffled look. This is certainly the first time a man has ever complained about me being too friendly.
I'm not doing anything wrong.
Wow.
Come on now, don't be like that. It's just a bit of fun.
So this kind of fits in. I think she probably would have done exactly what we chose. I think she would have definitely overextended herself and made him uncomfortable there, because as she's already said, she's kind of grown up in a lifestyle where she always gets what she wants. So if she wants Zachary to like her, if she wants Zachary to kiss her, whatever, she's used to getting what she wants. And yeah, and now she's overdone it, and she's made him really uncomfortable, and that's why the relationship status moved down. He's feeling awkward and uncomfortable around her, and she's not even admitting it, you know? She's like, don't be like that, it's just a bit of fun. A bit of harmless fun.
I'm sorry. It's just really uncomfortable, and I don't think either of us want Mr. Right to see us and think there's any funny business.
Yeah, he's right.
I'm sorry. Look, can we just... We're finished with the interview already, aren't we? Maybe it's about time I go.
Oh, you must be joking.
No, I'm not.
You're certainly the odd one. Don't be such a killjoy. A little bit of flirting never hurt anyone. Other men would simply be delighted by my interest in them. Besides, you really are such a cutie.
Well, I'm not them, Hannah. So, yeah, I'm probably odd.
Wow.
I don't understand you.
It's entertaining, I give it that.
Let me put it this way. You're a pretty lady, so this must have happened to you at least once or twice. How would you feel if someone was making you uncomfortable?
Damn, good point.
Only for them to refuse when you ask them to stop, and they make you out to be the one that's wrong?
Yeah, he's making her out to be like a narcissist now.
This isn't the same as that.
Right? As I try to argue his point, he starts to pack the rest of his bags. This is preposterous. My main argument is, what sort of man complains about a beautiful woman being friendly with them? It seems logical in my head, but the moment I try to say it, it just starts to fall apart.
Yes, it is. Unwanted advances don't make me feel macho or anything like that. I'm not here to argue morals or ethics, Miss Wright. I think I have more than enough for the interview, if that's fine with you. I may be starting to overstay my welcome.
I feel deflated. And things were going so smoothly, too. I ended up pushing too hard, just when I might have found myself a good friend. Yep. I am not sure I feel awful because I'm not getting what I want, or because I just was compared to the pigs that I so despise.
You're not even going to let me apologize.
Aw.
You're not a bad person, Hannah.
Because I really am sorry.
People won't always be how you want them to be. And apology accepted. But I really do need to go. A friend of mine is expecting me, and it's getting late.
Will you visit again? I will be asking for copies of those photographs.
Yeah, sure. I'll make you a copy.
That will be much appreciated. I'll ask Johans to see you out.
I feel sick to my stomach as I watch Zachary leave. It is silly to be upset over a falling out with a man who was, only a few hours ago, a complete stranger to me. Yeah, I would agree. That doesn't excuse my boorish behavior at all, and it doesn't make the ill feeling any better. Idling about, I stare off into space, unsure of how I feel. And I stay a good while just standing there until the sun sets in the horizon. Disheartened, I proceed back to the mansion for supper. Alright, Wednesday evening. Missed that again? Entering the dining hall causes me so much confusion. Dark. For a moment, I thought the electric work is not up to par. But that clearly is not the case, as every other room is bright with artificial light. Finding the light switch is a monumental task, considering the size and my unfamiliarity with the room. To make matters worse, the darkness grants the room a different atmosphere, eerie and frightening. Yeah, this visual novel is definitely creepy at points. It takes longer than I thought to find the switch. Something will have to be rectified later on. My skin starts to prickle, and there is a distinct feeling of being watched. It unsettles me. It only spurs me in. It unsettles me, and only spurs me on in my search. And when I do open the lights, there is a hiss. Oh, yikes.
I'll turn the lights down, woman.
Oh boy. Well, we see why she was so fond of Zachary in a heartbeat. There, at the end of the hall, is my beloved husband with his face in one hand and a glass in the other. Perhaps I can let it go if it's only one glass of wine. However, I can feel myself go livid after seeing the toxic green liquid gleaming mockingly at me.
Luke, what?
What are you drinking?
Are you drinking absinthe?
Oh, damn. That's some strong shit.
You know what the doctor said. Absinthe, Luke.
Oh, she's mad.
Are you actively trying to kill yourself? Because if you are, we can just hit you with a bloody car.
Damn.
Honeybee, Buttercup, not too loud, please. Besides, it's Lelouch, not too strong. Just hair of the dog that bit me. Helps with the hangover, dearest.
You drank? When?
This morning, love. Don't be mad. I just needed a few drinks, having to deal with those simpletons. And maybe I had one too much. You don't see me whinging about you leaving me to handle them on my own.
I had to attend the photo shoot and interview with Luxury Living. You know that. Let's not make this about me, Luke. This is about you and your drinking problem and...
Oh, I don't know, Hana,
Oh,
darling. What if my drinking problem, as you like to call it, is linked to you?
Oh, ouch.
If we think about it that way, this discussion is about you. That was pretty mean of you, leaving me alone to do all the work like that. You can't use the interview as an excuse either, honey.
Damn.
I was informed the moment your little interview was done. So, what was it then, What were you doing?
Oh, wow. What's it gonna be? Should I tell the truth or tell a little lie? I think we're gonna tell the truth. I think we already effed up, and I'm curious to see what he says when I say another man's name as well. Especially, remember guys, I was really surprised. I think it was part 2 when this ass basically called Zachary, he met Zachary the first time and called him the N-word. Yeah, it actually said that. He actually referred to him as the N-word. And so if we say I was with Zachary, is he going to remember who he is and get belligerent again? I'm curious to find out. So we're gonna choose that, and we're gonna say she's being honest because she's probably pissed as well, especially with the way they're fighting.
I was talking with Zachary, the photographer for Luxury Living.
I have no reason to tell lies. It's not like I'm guilty of anything. But as Luke's expression turns, it makes me feel like I actually am to blame for something. And you don't look happy. He has a way of making me feel laid bare with just a look. That had really struck me when we first met many years ago.
That giant Negro?
Yep, there he goes again. He knows.
You were having a secret meeting behind my back and it was with him?
What are you implying?
I'm implying nothing. I'm just worried. You know better than to trust those media types, Buttercup. He must have been really friendly to occupy your time like that. But all he's looking for is his next big headline.
He's a photographer for an interior design magazine.
Doesn't matter. You let one little thing slip, one wrong move, and it'll blow up in the telly in the morning. He'll go to his journalist friends to gossip and make a quick quid.
Quick buck, basically. His eyes were the first thing that I noticed about him. They were like nature, the grass and the trees, wonderful and breathtaking. Talking about Zachary. Now, as I look at him, they're nothing but the same shade of green as the bloody damn drink in his hand.
He was a perfect gentleman, Luke. I can't say the same for you as of recent.
Excuse me again? We're talking about you, Hana.
No, I am pretty sure we were talking about you and your drinking problem, Luke, right?
Damn. This is going nowhere. Hangover forgotten during the course of his little spat, The man jumps to his feet and seethes. It looks like he's barely stopping himself from throwing the nearest thing he can find.
Oh, it is not a problem. I can stop whenever I want. And even if it was, I think you can very well stay out of it, as it only affects my own kidneys or liver or whatever the bloody hell that shite pollutes. Whatever aftermath that occurs because of your little chit-chat with the Negro affects the both of us, however.
Look, Luke. Nothing will happen. You have to relax. It was just a friendly chat.
Well, now I think I'm getting jealous. Or I would be if it weren't for this damn headache.
Maybe you should drink more.
Oh wow, maybe you should drink more?
Maybe.
Supper is spent in silence with nothing but the occasional sound of silverware. A grand feast has been served, well, grander than usual anyway, most likely due to Luke's complaints of stress. A platter of native oysters for starters, and tranche for the turbot with a purple spouting broccoli, lemon, capers, and anchovy sauce for mains. To finish it off, black tea and golden syrup sponge pudding with custard. Golden syrup sponge pudding. That's a long name. But when our appetites are appeased and the plates are cleared away, Luke stands, kisses me goodnight, and leaves me to stare at my half-empty cup. Lonely in the lull of night, I sit in a house too big and too empty, foreign, and very unwelcoming. Even with its warm tone and homely decor, it just feels cold. There is no need for tears, however. I know I can get through this like every other obstacle I've faced before. There is a minor setback in what I hope will be a long and happy life. Yeah, this is a minor setback in what I hope will be a long and happy life. To remind myself that this place is for Luke and for our future. Children fills me with a renewed... Man, I can't read it out. To remind myself that this place is for Luke and for our future children fills me with a renewed vigor. Besides, it looks like someone is having a cry already. The wailing is far away and muffled. Yet at the same time, it shakes me to my very core as I hear it. As if the suffering is just standing right beside me. Hearing it sends a chill down my spine and makes my spine prickle with goosebumps. Uh-oh. What's gonna happen now? Oh boy. Who is that? So it's in the evening on Wednesday night. Journal update. Curiosity sinks in as I follow the sorrowful sound into the kitchen. And into the wine cellar hatch.
Hello? Is anybody down there?
I am curious and concerned, but there is no way I'm going down into a dark and humid underground. Yeah, I can't say I blame her. I am not as enthusiastic as Luke, who considers himself quite the connoisseur. However, I also cannot bring myself to go to bed with this racket going on. If it is one of the household help, they will surely send some talking. After all, this wouldn't be the first time I've gone and found one of the maids sobbing their eyes out over one thing or another. As professional as our staff are, they are still human. More often than not, it was either Johannes or who... I don't think that this is a human that is just sobbing or one of their, workers or whatever. More often than not, it was either Johannes or I who would calm them down, who would help them figure out how to go on about things. Unfortunately, I am not in high spirits right now, so I am not wholly benevolent. So I will open the hatch or call them out. I think she's going to call them out. I think that's what she would do. I think she'd be too scared to open the hatch, to be honest. I knock 3 times, Ori updated. Waiting for any sort of reply yields me no results, and I've already touched the floor hatch far too many times than what I'd like. I take a deep breath before reaching out again to whoever's inside. I've learned from experience that people respond better to kindness than threats. Shouting angrily would not help in coaxing them out of here.
You in the cellar. Do come waking up and finding you in there, do we? That man would go ballistic thinking someone was trying to steal his precious wine.
Still nothing.
You can have a good cry. Just not in there, yes? Why don't you come out here and we can have a cuppa and you can tell me all about whatever it is you're bawling about?
With how long I am standing here, however, I am starting to think myself as a fool. I did not want to acknowledge the other feeling I have, especially as the wailing took an eerie turn. The thought of being played with didn't sit too well with me, and I had to stop myself from getting too hot-headed as I tried one more time.
Now you come out of there! That is an order from the lady of the house, do you hear me?
Wow.
Why, I ought to...
I freeze as a hand clamps down on my shoulder. The dread I've been feeling all this time makes itself known as I kneel, unmoving, not even daring to breathe. I can feel my heart pounding against my chest, but the touch is gone as quickly as it had seized me. No, it is only Johannes when I see that when I look back, and I bet you he doesn't hear a thing.
Apologies, madam, for touching you like that. You were not responding to my voice, and you looked about ready to wake the whole mansion up.
I was... I'm sorry. I was getting rather loud, wasn't I? But that crying woman in there, we must do something about her.
He's gonna say crying woman where? He grows silent for a moment and just looks concerned. At least I'd like to interpret it as a concern, given how stoic our head butler usually is. Or rather, it must have been concern as he takes off a glove and presses the back of his hand at my forehead.
I beg your pardon. What? Crying woman?
Yeah, he's like, what? What are you talking about?
Are you feeling well, madam?
Yeah.
In the cellar. Can't you hear her?
Madam, Hannah, no one is down there.
What?
The cellar is locked. Only Luke and I have duplicates of the keys. Nobody is down there.
I stare at him in total disbelief. But when I listen once more, I do hear no crying. Tugging at the hatch for good measure proves his words to be true as well. The thing won't budge unless I had a key, short of using power tools on it.
Perhaps it is time for you to go to bed, madam.
Yeah.
You are simply tired and hearing things, a perfectly normal human experience. But if you are still experiencing auditory hallucinations in the morning, you are free to consult with me.
There is a cold feeling in the pit of my stomach as he helps me up to my feet. What he says does make sense, and who am I to question someone who used to be a doctor? I am just tired. That's gotta be it. Long day of moving, the interview, dealing with Luke, that has all drained me of any proper sense.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I just need some sleep, that's all.
Right.
Of course I'm right. Go on then. Gute Nacht.
Good night.
Good night, Johannes. Good night, house.
Wow. It's just fatigue. That's what I kept telling myself, although I can't ignore the strange feeling in my gut. Either there is something wrong with this house, or there is something wrong with my head. Sleep will be elusive tonight. Alright, guys, we did get through that day, and that's kind of what I said I wanted to do, is go through one day at a time, even if it took a little over an hour or whatnot. But we are right about that point where I want to be about an hour per episode. So this was another really interesting part. We can see just how dysfunctional and how unhappy Hannah is in her marriage. So unhappy that she's even getting a little bit desperate with the flirting of Zachary, a guy she barely knows, just because he seems so much more proper and caring and genuine and nice than her own husband. So we also seen in this episode that it does indeed look like something we already kind of knew from Isabel's experience, the realtor. This mansion that Hannah and her husband have bought seems to be haunted, or seems to be possessed, whatever it might be. We're going to find out more about that as we continue through this visual novel. So with that, guys, I do want to go and thank you guys for watching. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know if you've enjoyed this. And this has been Zachster99. Thanks so much for listening in, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Peace, everybody.